When I got home from a 3-day weekend, I didn't expect to find a seizure notice taped to my front door like some deranged arts and crafts project. Comic Sans font, glitter pen signature, duct tape over the people. I stood there blinking, coffee in hand, thinking maybe I was on a prank show. But no, this was real. The notice said I owed over 11 grand in HOA compliance fines and had 24 hours to vacate or face asset reclamation. Like my house was a toaster they could repossess. And just when I thought it couldn't get more surreal, I heard them. Flip-flops crunching gravel, sun hats bobbing like synchronized swimmers. Brenda McAllister herself, self-proclaimed lifetime president of the Magnolia Crest HR, marching toward me with a flock of clipboard-carrying cultists in tow, like some neighborhood Normandy invasion. "You're in violation of 23 HOA statutes," she barked like she was delivering a death sentence. "You must vacate by 7 p.m. I looked at her dead in the eye and said, "Brenda, I'm not even in your HOA. Magnolia Crest ends 6 blocks that way. This is Larkspur Lane. Always has been." She smacked like she was explaining taxes to a toddler. "There's been a jurisdictional revision," she said. "We annexed your property last month. It passed in a vote. We had cupcakes." I nearly choked. "Annexed? What is this, medieval France?" I told her that wasn't how property law worked. You don't just claim a chunk of land because you printed a blurry map of Google and brought muffins. But Brenda had a folder full of documents, badly photoshopped seals, typos everywhere, and a signature from someone named Judge Gavo, who turned out to be a cartoon mascot from a legal podcast. No joke. I told her to get off my property in 10 seconds or I'd call the sheriff. She smiled like she'd been waiting for that and said, "Already called him. You're trespassing on HOA land now." 20 minutes later, Deputy Morales rode up, her tilted low, mustache like it had seen some things, and sighed the second he saw Brenda. "You again," he muttered. Inside, I showed him everything. Deed, plat maps, subdivision records, even my closing docs from when I bought the place. He looked through it all and said, "Yeah, this is gonna be messy. She filed something at the assessor's office last week. I'll dig." But I didn't just wait around. I called Lydia, real estate lawyer and occasional chaos enthusiast, and emailed her the so-called annexation file. She laughed so hard she snorted coffee through her nose. The paperwork was bogus. No legal weight, full of errors, and most importantly, completely fraudulent. Still, Brenda didn't back down. No, she doubled down. The next morning, I woke up to find a sign in my front yard, "Future site of HOA meditation pavilion." Then came the flyers claiming my house would be converted into a community resource hub. One night, I came home to find HOA volunteers in polos trying to install a flagpole on my lawn. So I decided, fine, you wanna play dirty, Brenda? Let's dance. I did some digging of my own. Turns out, Brenda's house, her precious HOA throne, was financed through Belmont Union, a tiny local bank barely keeping its head above water. I also learned she'd defaulted on 2 community improvement projects, one for solar lights, the other for a failed duck pond that turned into a mosquito breeding ground. You can't make this stuff up. So I made a few calls. A business partner and I submitted a bid to acquire a portion of Belmont Union's distressed mortgage portfolio. Not the whole bank, just enough to get what we wanted, Brenda's mortgage. And it worked. Clean deal, cash-backed, full servicing rights. Now, if you've never dealt with this kind of thing, let me explain. Owning someone's mortgage doesn't mean you own their house outright, but you do get to enforce the loan terms. And Brenda's loan had a balloon clause, basically, a financial time bomb. 15 years of small payments, then one giant lump sum due all at once. She was 1 year out. I sent her a letter, cordial, professional, explaining that her mortgage had been transferred, terms were unchanged, and the balloon clause was still in effect. She responded by trying to host an HOA orientation barbecue in my backyard. I came home to folding chairs, name tags, even a bounce house. Brenda was at the grill, shouting something about shared community spaces for the new bylaws. I gave her 5 minutes to clear out or I'd turn the hose on them. She screamed about civil litigation. I didn't answer. I just turned the hose on full blast. People scattered. Brenda stood there, dripping wet, mascara running, still holding her clipboard like it might protect her from reality. But the real climax came at the town council meeting. Brenda somehow got herself a slot on the agenda under community development updates and started handing out printed HOA expansion maps to the room like she was unveiling a new subway system. Wearing a sash that said Neighborhood Unifier, no less. Halfway through her presentation, I raised my hand and asked, Brenda, can you explain how a non-chartered HOA with no legal expansion filings is claiming grant eligibility for properties it doesn't own? She froze. Then Lydia stood up from the back, calm as ever, pulled out a folder and said, we've confirmed the documents are fraudulent. Including forged signatures, fake voters, and a notary seal from a mascot dog. The room went dead quiet. Someone in the back stifled a laugh. Brenda turned crimson, tried to spin it as symbolic notarization, but the council wasn't having it. They immediately called for a full review of every HOA filing sheet submitted in the last 6 months. That's when things truly started to unravel. She tried to fight back flyers, town speeches, even got on local news claiming I was a mortgage manipulator targeting single women. But by then, the damage was done. People stopped showing up to her meetings. Neighbors who once followed her blindly started backing away. The day I served her the foreclosure notice, she showed up at my door with a lemon cake and a tight little smile. Said maybe we could discuss refinancing options. I looked her straight in the eye and said, Brenda, you tried to steal my house using fake documents and a glitter pen. I'm not refinancing your mortgage, I am foreclosing it. She stormed off. 90 days later, Deputy Morales knocked on her door with the final notice. I stood across the street, coffee in hand, watching the show like it was a neighborhood block party. You have 90 days to vacate, he told her. Who even owns my mortgage? She snapped. I smiled and waved. Morning, Brenda. That'd be me. She lost eye chanting about conspiracies, fake banks, the deep state. But the truth is, she tried to play queen of a fake kingdom and got outmaneuvered by someone who actually read the fine print. A month after she left, I donated her house to a non-profit legal group that helps homeowners fight predatory HOAs. They renamed it the McAllister Center for Residential Rights. I even had a plaque made, in memory of Brenda McAllister, who taught us what not to do with power. The irony. It's now the most welcoming house in the neighborhood. They hold potlucks there. Book clubs. Community law seminars. People actually smile when they walk by. And Brenda. Last I saw her, she was across the street, sunglasses and a hoodie, arms crossed, watching the grand opening from behind a tree. She left before the ribbon was even cut. But not before one last act. A week later, someone broke in and left fake HOA violation slips all over the new center. Signed, President Brenda. The security footage showed her clear as day. She got charged with trespassing, forgery, and me personal favorite defacement of a non-profit property. They gave her community service and banned her from serving on any HOA board for 5 years. Poetic, right? Now, every time I sit on my porch and hear the wind chimes, real wind chimes, not HOA-approved spiritual uneasy, think about how it all started with a glitter pen and a woman who thought cupcakes could rewrite property law. So let me ask you this: did I go too far? Or did I do what needed to be done? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about power, petty wars, and what justice really looks like in a neighborhood where the lawn signs used to mean war.